Almost a year ago, Motorola announced its first foldable flip phone, the Moto Razr, which paid tribute to the company's flip phone by the same moniker. Now, it was a special moment for everyone in the tech community, and it was also one of the first phones of its kind. It was actually the first phone of its kind, which is why people were willing to look past its inherent flaws. Now fast forward to the end of 2020 and Motorola is back with the Moto Razr 5G, which is no longer the only foldable flip phone in the segment. That's partly why this phone has some pretty big shoes to fill, and I've spent exactly one day using this phone, and in this video I'll try to talk about my experience of how I've felt about using this phone after one day of usage. But guys, before we get on with the video, make sure to hit the bell icon and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already, so that you don't miss out on any quality tech content that we put out. Now that you've done that, let's get on with the full unboxing and first impressions of the Moto Razr 5G. Now the USP of the Moto Razr 5G is that this is a foldable phone, and while this might not seem as exciting by the end of 2020, I've still not been able to wrap my head around it. Get it? Okay, bad puns aside, this phone is a thing of beauty from every which angle. I mean, the folding mechanism alone will make people go gaga over its looks, but Motorola didn't stop there, as they furnished the phone's outer frame with shiny Series 7000 aluminum and polished glass. Now, I don't have to tell you that the combination of the materials used for the phone's construction don't just make it appear premium, but it feels exquisite to hold in the hand too. It's also quite robust, and even though I've used the phone for only one day, I don't have any doubt in my mind that the phone, along with the hinge mechanism, will meet the company's advertised numbers. Now, there are a couple of things that I don't like about the design too, so let's talk about those. Firstly, while I am glad that the phone comes with a speedy and reliable capacitive fingerprint sensor, it's been positioned too low for my liking. I mean, there are only so many places to fit it, so I guess I'm willing to give Motorola a pass on this one. Now, thankfully, you do get facial recognition with the phone too, which works for both the interior as well as the exterior display and is actually pretty responsive. I found myself using this more than the fingerprint sensor on the phone. Now, another thing I didn't like about the design of the phone though was that it's not very one-hand friendly. I mean, the frame is narrow enough to do most, if not all the tasks, but the phone's slippery back coupled with its sleek and irregular frame make it uncomfortable to grip at times. Now, the worst part is that you cannot really open this smartphone with just one hand. The upper mechanism sits way too flush to the lower mechanism, so it's just not possible. So if you wanted to answer a phone call in a dramatic fashion, tough luck, my friend. Now that said, the phone does offer a really good typing experience, as it has a very tight haptic feedback, and like I mentioned previously, the phone does come with a narrow frame, so you can actually type with one hand quite easily on the phone. Now, as for the placement of the ports and buttons, you'll get a micro SIM slot towards the bottom, along with the phone's Type-C port and the mono speaker grill. Now the speaker is quite loud and it sufficed for my usage, so no complaints here. You'll also get the volume rocker to the phone's right and the power button on the left of the frame, and they're both satisfactorily tactile too. Now coming to the display, the Moto Razr 5G offers two displays. Now the main one, that's this big screen on the inside, this one comes with a 6.2-inch screen size. It's a POLED panel, a plastic OLED panel, and it offers a resolution of 874 by 2142 pixels. Now the biggest thing that you guys would want to know about this particular screen is how durable it is, right? Well, I can't really comment on that since I've used the phone for only one day, but it feels really solid. Now it does form a crease in the middle, which is noticeable when you run your fingers on it, but for the most part, I had to look closely to find it on the screen. Now, the viewing angles were fantastic too, and since this is an OLED display, you can expect the colors on the screen to be bright and punchy as well. So the only thing that I didn't like about the display was its aspect ratio, and at 21:9, this screen has a lot of app scaling issues. Now games would open in windowed mode, and when forced to full screen, they had this weird cutouts around the corners. It wasn't the end of the world, but it's something I noticed instantly, and I'm sure you will too. Now as for the display on the outside, well, that measures in at 2.7 inches and offers a resolution of 800 by 600 pixels. Now it's a pretty sharp panel, and the touch responsiveness as well as the sunlight legibility of the screen was fantastic too, but once again, there are a limited number of apps you can scale properly on this display. So if you want to make a call or reply to a quick text, this screen is fine. For third-party apps like Twitter or Instagram, you'll have to use the phone's main display. Again, I know that the display on the outside is not meant to have this feature, it's not meant to open all apps on your phone, but it would have been a cool feature to have regardless if you could at least open some most used apps like WhatsApp and Twitter. Now the first gen Moto Razr offered a Snapdragon 730G processor, and the new model steps things up by offering a Snapdragon 765G processor. Now it goes without saying that this isn't the fastest foldable flip phone in the market, and that it doesn't offer the most performance per rupee spent. But in my short stint with the phone, I didn't feel the 765G lacking by any means. Apps opened swiftly, animations were rendered smoothly, and the phone felt snappy overall. I did run some casual games on the phone too, and my experience whilst playing Alto's Odyssey and Among Us with Discord running in the background was fantastic. If you are into playing graphically intensive games like Call of Duty Mobile though, then you should also look into the Galaxy Z Flip, which is backed by a faster CPU. Now what that phone won't have though is stock Android 10, which is what you'll get with Moto Razr 5G. Now simply put, this phone doesn't come with any bloatware or annoying ads, and to quote Poco's motto, it offers everything you need and nothing you don't. Now this phone is also running August security patch, and on the whole, the software experience that you get with Motorola phones is very polished. You get these usable functions like Moto Actions along with Moto UX for customization and an overall clean skin of Android, so you can't go wrong with that. Now the first gen Moto Razr didn't really spark any fire amidst photographers with its 16 megapixel main camera and 5 megapixel selfie camera. So can the Moto Razr 5G actually outdo its predecessor and the competition? Well, so far the images that I've clicked with the phone look quite promising, but before I get into that, you should know that this phone comes with a 48 megapixel Samsung GM1 sensor this time around, which can be used as both the main and the selfie camera. Now there's a 20 megapixel selfie camera present on the inside too, so you can actually take video calls with the phone. Now the initial camera samples that I took with the phone, which will be on your screen right now, looked quite good. The exposure was on point in all the shots, and even at a closer crop, the images didn't appear over sharpened. Still, I will be able to tell you more about the phone's camera performance once I revisit it and have tested it fully. Moving on though, the Moto Razr 5G is fueled by a 2800 mAh battery, which is the smallest I've seen on a smartphone yet. Now it goes without saying that this is not a one-day phone, and even during my brief stint with the device, I did see the battery go down quite quickly. Thankfully, you do get an 18-watt charger with the phone, which should juice up the Razr 5G in no time, but unlike the Galaxy Z Flip, and this is one more compromise that Motorola has made with the Moto Razr 5G, this doesn't come with wireless charging, so there's that to note too. Now, like I said before, I've been using the Moto Razr 5G for one full day, and undoubtedly this phone is a marvel of technology, make no mistake about it. But at the same time, Motorola is no longer the only player in the segment, and when you look at the competition's foldable offerings, you can't help but notice the compromises Motorola has made here. And that is why I am still on the fence about this phone. But do let me know in the comments below what you make of the Moto Razr 5G. Do you think that this phone right here is the best foldable smartphone that's in the market right now or not? Let us have a discussion down below, but for the time being, this wraps up my first impressions with the Moto Razr 5G. Again guys, if you enjoyed this video, do give us a big thumbs up and share it with your friends. Until next time, this is Pratik from Mr. Phone signing off.